From the KELOLAND Digital Desk, I'm meteorologist Scott Mundt, and this is our latest edition of Weather or Not. Coming up on today's show, we'll talk about our rain that's on the way for early next week. Also have a sneak peek at what you can expect for Halloween. And, of course, we'll take a look at that snow trend as we get into the 30th of October, the 10th of November, and the 20th of November, what the odds are of getting at least our first measurable snow in Sioux Falls and in Rapid City. So we'll take a look at that trend toward the later part of the show. How about the temperatures this morning? Much like what we had yesterday morning in eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa, we fell to the 20s, down to 27 again. In Sioux Falls, we fell to 24 in Aberdeen, 28 in Huron, 29 in Mitchell. Colder in central South Dakota compared to yesterday morning. Look at Pierre, 27. Phillip at 25. Rapid City fell to 33. I don't expect to see those types of temperatures for tomorrow morning. They'll probably fall to near 30. Wouldn't be surprised to get a couple of areas, maybe in the upper 20s, but I don't think the 20s will be as widespread as what we had this morning. Futurecast, we are looking at mostly clear skies, so sunshine in our forecast for today. Light winds eventually favoring a southerly direction in western and central South Dakota. For tonight, we'll have that light south wind. Keep us relatively warm as compared to the past couple of mornings. But again, we'll fall close to 30 in eastern, southeastern KELOLAND. During the day on Friday, southerly winds, I don't think they'll be bad. We could get a couple of wind gusts in that 20-mile-per-hour range. Saturday, I think everybody will have a south wind. Wind gusts may approach 30, but notice the thicker clouds. I'll go ahead and take this full. Notice the thicker clouds in eastern and southeastern South Dakota to Minnesota and Iowa. Now, that will keep our temperatures relatively cool if we get that much cloud cover as compared to what we will have across western South Dakota, where temperatures will hit the 70s, maybe hitting the middle 70s in Rapid City on Saturday. I don't think we'll be that warm in eastern KELOLAND. We'll still be above average with numbers, say, in the low 60s. So for today, we'll have light winds. Tomorrow, notice how we do have southerly winds that can gust 20, 25 miles per hour across eastern KELOLAND. I mentioned before that everybody on Saturday will have a strong southerly wind. Those wind gusts, 20, 25. On occasion, we may see a couple of higher gusts. But Sunday can be and will be the windiest day. South winds still holding central and eastern KELOLAND. Wind gusts near 40 miles per hour. And that's a time where temperatures will remain above average, and we'll also have a little bit more humidity in the air, which will help feed our rain chances as we get into Monday night. And for some in eastern South Dakota, may still have a couple of scattered showers. By the time we do get into Tuesday morning, they'll leave, and then it looks like we'll have dry conditions after that. Temperatures for today will reach the 50s and 60s. We're going with that light southerly wind, eventually becoming southerly. And then for tonight, not as cold, but we'll still have temperatures fall to the lower 30s in parts of eastern, southeastern KELOLAND. We'll see if we get a couple of isolated 20s to show up. Notice how Spencer, Iowa was falling to 30. So I wouldn't be surprised to get a couple of areas in the upper 20s. Well, coming up, we'll talk about Monday's rain and be joined by meteorologist Brian Karstens. Stay with us. Welcome back to Weather or Not. Joining me now is Brian Karstens. And Brian, we've been talking about Monday's rain. Well, for some of us, we can say we've been talking about it for almost 90 days.
Yeah, how about that? Comes in handy to have that 90-day chart ready to go.
Yeah, so, for some, probably not much of a surprise, though I think it is coming in on day 89, not 90. I think Tuesday would end up being 90.
Close enough, right?
Close enough. Yes. I mean, when you're talking, if you're talking a good 3-month forecast, you're off by a day. Okay.
Well, let's consider, too, that for some of us, it's been such a dry fall that when a rain
know.
chance comes in, you pay attention to it because I have had, got some rain here week before last, and it was nice to get that. But finally, a little green grass in the yard. Needed that. But, we could easily handle an inch of rain, Scott. The question is how much and who gets what on Monday.
And where exactly does it go? How's your garden doing after these temperatures in the 20s?
So yesterday we left for a quick day trip to Omaha.
Okay,
And
how was that?
That was good.
You're getting out of the cold air. You had to go south?
Right. It was a little warmer there. But then when we came back, it was already past dark. And I did not go out to the garden yet. So I'm sure things have frosted over, not once, but twice.
2 days with morning temperature of 27 in Sioux Falls.
It's funny, though. Before we left, my daughter, Cassie, had an idea to cover up and protect the various potted plants, which was very, very helpful. But she ended up taking in some of them that I wouldn't have personally have protected. But I'm like, well, this is okay because we're kind of busy right now. Let Mom decide which ones we'll keep, because sometimes we'll take some things out of one, maybe put it in another, and keep some geraniums over the winter, that kind of stuff. But
and if they're helping, hey, go ahead and help. We'll sort it out later.
And she likes to protect the pumpkins, too, which I do think that's relevant because we've had years where the pumpkins will sit out. Now, if it's 31, 32, that's one thing. But even this morning, Spencer, Iowa's been down to 23, Scott.
Yes.
23 degrees on a pumpkin is not friendly. That will definitely bruise up that flesh on that skin, and it kind of makes your quality go downhill pretty quickly. So,
and here we are, a little more than a week out from Halloween?
Right. Yeah, it's got a little time yet. So, keep those pumpkins hopefully healthy, and maybe some warmer overnight lows coming up.
Tonight will be warmer. At least that's in the forecast. Temperatures may still fall close to 30 in eastern and southeastern South Dakota. But we've been following the pattern here on the European. And what I did is I kept a couple of the low-pressure systems, and I put them on the map as to what the model was saying. So this was what the model was saying on Monday. Now, this is the 500 millibar low-pressure system that it was showing for Monday's forecast. So let's go ahead and bring in the other one from Tuesday. Now, that one moved it a little bit farther to the south, and the one from yesterday moved that one east of the one from Tuesday. Okay, so things really haven't changed. When I got in today, it seemed to me that the low at 500 was washed out. I really wasn't finding any big evidence of it, but when I looked at the surface features, I was able to find a surface low that's trying to move through South Dakota. So that is expected to move through on Monday, and it's expected to do this, bring in the rain. This is midday on Monday. This is a European model showing that the rain expected to fall in central, eastern South Dakota. I think the best bet to get wet may end up being the way that this is showing up in northeastern South Dakota. As I just showed you, that low-pressure system between Pierre and Huron, that may move to the east and bring in the moisture from the south. In fact, Brian, you talked about this morning too. Sunday's morning temperatures. We're not talking numbers in the 20s. We're talking numbers that may only stay in the 50s?
Well, with the assumption that the wind is going to stay out of the south, we expect that there'll be a tap of some moisture from the south too. So it makes sense to me to say temperatures will be significantly warmer for Sunday morning. And then, of course, we'll see how we prime the atmosphere after that. But that also lends itself to the rain possibilities because it's easier once you elevate the temperature and get it closer to that dew point, and you do that over a greater depth of the atmosphere, then you've overcome a lot of those elements that sometimes are harder to do. And any kind of wind out of the southeast, too, if we get into a southeast fetch, that'll be even better for us. So we've got some things to work with here. On Sunday night, Monday, I was just glancing over here at the new 6Z European model data, too, and it is showing that moving through our region. So obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. This is actually a hyper-local version of that. It starts off Sunday morning. See that? Lows in the 50s. That's a pretty mild start. That's
cloud cover, south winds.
Right. Yeah, the clouds, the low overcast in there. Now, we do manage some 60s during the day, but see how the modeling, and again, this is what you were just showing too, that you've got that rain coming in Monday, and it looks like right now with 50-degree weather and some rain showers, that kind of looks like a damp day there, doesn't it?
Now, before then, we may have 70s in western South Dakota on Saturday.
Yes. We've got 70-degree weather, 475 in Rapid City.
In Rapid City, mid-70s. So looking like a nice first half of the weekend, and then we'll see if we bring in those rain chances. And we talked about this numerous times, the cycle or pattern that we're in. It's a good 40, 45-day cycle. But this is looking at that 500 millibar heights with the cutoff low-pressure systems. And what I mentioned just a bit ago is it kind of washed out with that 500 millibar low. It's more of a surface low trying to move through at the moment. But we'll continue to follow it and see what happens. But it is bringing in that rain that falls, close to that 40 to 45-day period, October 28th through November 2nd. But the thing about it is right now, I'm not seeing it as as a closed low. What I'm seeing is thick fog, and that fog theory that goes back to July 30th, pointing to October 28th. And then we have those other dates. Now, this is just Sioux Falls, saying November 17th, and you're interested in that December date, December 9th.
Well, if, by then you know that you're into, even the November one, you can play with some snow there too, but December, then we know that, we got to watch all those systems by that point for sure.
And that's basing it off the fog theory. Stay with us. We have your Halloween outlook coming up. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. It's time to talk about Halloween, Brian. Started with the two-shot. I thought I was on the weather graphics.
That's okay.
Let's go to the weather graphics because there's a ghost in this one. I won't do the sound effect.
All right. Getting ready for trick or treating.
Right. You remember doing that as a kid?
Yeah, there were lots of years that we go out, and of course, every year is different. Weather can be cold. It can be mild some years.
Wet.
And there's years where there's been blizzards
and
ice storms.
Ice storms, yes.
Yeah, through the years. But this one, well, on the face value of it, there's some differences we're going to discuss in the extended forecast.
Yeah, we'll run through three different computer models. One here is the European. And we'll go through the European, the Euro AI version, and also the American model to show what those are thinking as we get into Halloween. Again, this is just a little bit more than a week out. So the European model is bringing something in. I noticed this morning, trying to bring something in across eastern, southeastern Minnesota. As it moves through, we'll have strong northerly winds right behind it. And it could be one of those deals where we have a high temperature hit early in the day. These north winds kick in. Temperatures start to fall. So along with it, we'll also follow maybe a chance at a couple of rain showers in eastern and northeastern South Dakota. If this one holds true, it's not painting a pretty picture for Halloween, especially across eastern and northeastern South Dakota. But that's only one model. Another model, the AI version of the European, this has dry skies and temperatures probably in the 50s. Some may hit the 60s for afternoon highs, as we'll have dry conditions on the AI, also dry conditions showing up on the American model. And the same thing with our temperatures, probably warming to the 50s for afternoon highs. But the one thing we'll watch, we'll see what happens as the data continues to come in on the European model to see if it holds that low pressure system in Minnesota.
Yeah, so it's trying to resolve, and what's kind of the base root of all of that is this major block over Canada. Mm-hmm. So the modeling is trying to figure out, well, how are we going to handle these systems coming in from the west? And the European model, obviously the deterministic or the raw data that we refer to it as, is the most rambunctious with trying to develop a pretty decent low there. But I'll go back to even our discussion off camera here a little bit about the Canadian model, which I know you didn't show that one, but we could go on and on and on. But it has an entirely different solution. It actually keeps a big closed low to our south and southwest.
Okay.
And it actually kind of pivots off of that Monday rain chance and does a scenario with that. So that's interesting too. We got to kind of work through Monday's rain first of all, and then that'll give us a better solution for what happens at the end of the week.
Yes, and again, that's Halloween next Friday.
Correct. Yeah. So we got a little time yet.
Then we're in November.
In November, which is the all or nothing month, right?
I still need to look up that whole data set. I might have it somewhere hidden in my computer.
I always think, though, you're right about that. It is you have memorable events in November, but boy, there's some years where it's we get pretty easy weather too. Some years it's just kind of dry and can be pretty tame for a while. So we'll see.
We will see. And over the next 2 weeks, the only snow, well, it may fall there across the Black Hills for us. Otherwise, it looks to be snowfall free, but not entirely dry as we are looking at that rain chance early next week. And to go into our weather pattern here. So we have our warm weather for this weekend. Temperatures well above average. Here comes the rain as we get into Monday and Tuesday. Now, along with it, our temperatures will cool. The afternoon highs will cool. Okay, so we'll have numbers probably in the 50s, but you also may notice that we'll have above average temperatures because it's taking them both the high and the low together and factoring those and averaging them. And in the long run, it ends up being above average. So that's the reason why it's keeping this warm air in place, though the afternoon will be cooler than what's expected for this weekend. But those overnight lows, Brian, we talked about that earlier too, will probably stay warm, especially Sunday morning. Clouds around Monday morning. It's probably another relatively warm morning where we usually fall to the low to middle 30s.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of, like you said, the math goes back to that because if you're even, let's say, near 50 in the morning, normal low is now 35?
35, yep.
So you're plus 15 right off the bat on the morning low. Then you do the afternoon high. Let's say it's 57. Well, that's normal. Or even maybe by that point on the calendar, a little bit above normal, right?
It will be above normal.
Yeah. So see, then you take the average difference with plus 15 and maybe plus 3, and you still end up, in the middle there. So that's, I totally agree with the coloring on the map. It's just a little bit of a perception when you see red in there and you're thinking, oh, that's warm, But now in October, it's there's more to it. What's warm?
Warm will be the middle 70s on Saturday in Rapid City.
That's warm, yeah. We still don't have a 70 in Sioux Falls, do we? In our extended forecast.
In the extended forecast, no. But hey, while you mentioned, let's go back to this, and then we'll talk more about the extended forecast. A warm start to November.
Okay,
that's what this is trying to show on the European. Now it's a lot different than what we had yesterday. It was trying to put a trough here across the southwestern United States, and of course there'll be a low pressure system with it too. That I was thinking as we get into maybe the tail end of that first week of November, if what we had on there yesterday would hold true, then sure, we might even get a system to run through, cooler temperatures along with it, but it's not showing that right now. Even on the extended snowfall outlook, it had some accumulating snows in the panhandle of Nebraska around, I think, the 5th of November. But it's nowhere near that right now.
So today's run, backs off. But tomorrow, these operational runs, they tend to be flighty anyway when you're talking that many days out. So let's see what tomorrow brings. Let's kind of stick with the timing details that you have clearly outlined several times.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I don't get too worried about it. I've seen these things too often change, 3-4 days out, and then you get right to the point where, now it's going to circle back around to some of our original ideas. Not always, but sometimes that's worth your patience there. But can we go back to some mild weather in November? Yes. I mean, to be honest there, the pattern is going to go back to some of that. I feel very confident that we are not done. And that's why I brought up 70, Scott. I don't
Yes.
think we're done with 70 in Sioux Falls necessarily.
Okay, let me bring this up. This is looking at the European deterministic.
Okay.
And, you don't see many warm colors, we'll say yellow, oranges. There are a couple that show up out here in the extended forecast. Those go up to, 62, 64. There's a 61. That's at the tail end of that first week of November. So that matches the graphic that I just showed.
Right. And if that happens, if that's, doable, easily could transition that into 70 because you can add typically those model runs when you get something like that at the end, it's weighted down by climatology. So that's one thing we know about when we see that in an extended forecast. You got to remember that.
Now, and look at the difference here, too, from 12 hours ago on the run. You could look at that here, the 0Z run compared to the 12Z run. Let's just look at the extended forecast. Notice how those temperatures there from 12 hours ago, 43 compared to the 64 of what it's saying right now for November 5th, here on November 5th. Yeah, so that's a big jump. It had it cooling to near 30 degrees. Now it has it, maybe near 40. So that's another big jump when you look at maybe some of those overnight lows. But again, that's the tail end of the extended forecast on this model. So you expect things to change.
Yep.
But that goes back to what I said about that trough that was trying to dig across southwestern United States. It got rid of it. Now it just wants to go with warm weather.
Yep. And we'll just let it sit there for today on that and then see if it decides to go back a little bit on that. But, yeah, we're definitely staying warmer than average, at least even in our 7-day forecast for Sioux Falls. These numbers are above normal.
Yeah, a lot of 50s. We do get to 60 on occasion. This is what we've been looking at since mid-September, and I'll bring up this graphic too. Looking at Sioux Falls, 100 different members of the European model saying that, when can we see measurable snow? Well, I broke that down to this graphic, and I have the dates there on the top, 30th, the 10th of November, the 20th of November. And the first number on top, that's what today's run is saying. So 11 of the 100 models by the 30th of October has measurable snow. And that's the running average since I've been looking at those numbers. So, of course, that average and those numbers go up the later we go in the season. And you can see that trend getting close to, say, a little bit over 75% by the 20th of November. We should have measurable snow. Not saying it's going to snow on the 20th of November, but by that date, we should have had our first measurable snow.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how much snow we typically have by November 20th, because typically we average, is it 2 inches in October?
We get 1.5 inches in October, and I want to say around 7.5 in November.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yep. So there's probably a number in there if you do the clockwork where you run up. So let's just throw out the number 5. Maybe it's 5, maybe 6, but 5 inches of snow on a typical average year by November 20th.
And that's a total.
Right.
Snow.
That's a total. Mm-hmm. So probably assuming, a lot of these early snows, they melt. They come and go pretty quickly. But if we have to wait till November 20th and there's an 80% chance we have snow by then, that's just to get anything that's measurable, right? I mean, that's your criteria. Is just, it doesn't even have to be a full inch of snow. It'd be
just give me 1/10 of an inch.
Yeah. So, it's not looking like there's, if you're one of those folks that really would love to see a big blockbuster system coming in, that's not really showing up there yet.
No.
And that takes a lot of November off the calendar. November 20th? I mean, you're looking out there quite a ways, but.
Right. And we'll soon get rid of October 30th. Once that hits the 7-day forecast, I'll yank it. Well, I guess that will be today. Today's updated package this afternoon, I think, will go out to that. So
then do you shift everything
So then I'll shift the 10 days until we get our measurable snow, and then I'll say, okay, I'm stopping.
The countdown.
I'll have to think of something else to keep my mind busy.
Well, it's an interesting trend. I like the fact that you've been consistently showing that. So
it's a big question.
Everybody can come in and say, yeah, I've been tracking that on whether or not on KELOLAND.
It's a 76% chance that we will get something, according to the models.
Well, people love numbers, that they're into that kind of thing. And, yeah, that gives me a quantifiable number. But I also think that, yeah, by that point, it seems, kind of.
Should have something.
You should have something by then. But, Man, oh man, is it ever a big deal though? Every time we get the first snow, the kids are just
They're ready to go.
Even some of us adults like to admit it. You like to see
Oh,
a little snow.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
I can't help it. I think it's interesting to see that. I don't want to see it too much. I'm just like, okay, if it snows a little bit.
It's a good novelty.
It is. It is. Usually then somebody breaks out the Christmas music in the house.
Oh, that will happen November 1st.
Yeah, it comes fast, doesn't it, Scott?
Yes.
Week
We'll get
away.
that. Speaking of music, Brian, let's go ahead and play our out music. As that is it for us. Thank you for watching. Weather or not.